Nepotism is, to me, primitive toxicity.
It's culturally normalized and then institutionally enabled.
But I don't think it's a Nigerian cultural thing. And would it ever be removed? No, it would not.
It's possible if we agree.
From politics to everyday life, the word nepotism sparks a lot of conversations in Nigeria. While some think of it as loyalty to family and communities, others think of it as an obstacle to good governance and development. But what do Nigerians themselves think? Can it be separated from our governance, or is it part of our culture? I am Messi Ojedbala. Join me as I explore what Nigerians truly think about nepotism and its place in our community.
Nepotism is people in power putting their family members or people closest to them into positions without those persons going through the usual processes they're supposed to go through. Has it affected me personally? No, it hasn't. I have seen it, however, from close proximities to other people. So I think across different sectors, different industries, people in power want their persons to be there. The problem is if the persons that are put there without going them through due process do not perform, that's when we begin to raise questions. But I don't think it's a Nigerian cultural thing. And would it ever be removed? No, it would not. Like you mentioned, it happens everywhere, like I said before. But I also think that because humans, not just Nigerians, are communal, because when you attain a certain level of power, it is only normal for many people to help other people you know and put them in positions of power. So I don't think it can be removed. The only thing I think can be done is to, for the persons who are putting their family members or friends in positions of power, to also consider their qualifications and their abilities. I'd like to give an example of some of the richest families in the world. The Rothschilds, for example, or the Rockefellers, do not just say, oh, because he's my son, he's just going to be there. They will have to let them go through the process and learn. So if we don't just put them because they are our persons, but also vet them and screen them through certain processes and certain criteria, I think it would help us to have a more progressive society while practicing what we call nepotism.
Nepotism is a situation whereby you try to favor somebody in terms of giving job, admission, or other opportunities. We favor it in terms of religion, in terms of tribe, in terms of people that come from your ethnic, sometimes even within the family, within your immediate family. And I cannot say I've been affected by nepotism, but in our country, which is heterogeneous, that is to say there's a lot of interest in terms of tribes, in terms of religion. I've seen that come to play, and I've seen a lot of people complain about the media, about in the community, crying that because I don't belong to tribe A or tribe B, religion A, then I need this opportunity. So I think it's unfortunate, and it's not good for the governance of any society, being a community, family, or even religious bodies. So I think it's something that needs to be discouraged totality, because countries that have developed over the years have done away with nepotism. Instead, they think of merit, who can do the best, who is the best for the position, who is the best for the opportunity. And that is where you see that things go the way they should. The negative impact outweighs the positive impact. Yes, you can give somebody that comes from your place the opportunity, but the question is, does he merit that position? Does he merit that opportunity? If it is, there's a process to go through to bring out the best. Should the person go through the process and come out the best, whether it's from your own family, I think it's not out of place. But a situation whereby you see sometimes because the person belongs to the tribe or religion of the person who is in charge of that recruitment or in charge of that admission, sometimes you see that the person that will be favored doesn't go through the process. And at the end of the day, you don't get results for that. It has a more negative impact because if there's no clear-cut process that bring out the best, it's possible when we come to agree that, look, we want to move forward. We want to do things the way it is done. We take the United States of America, for example, where you have different shades of culture. It's a conglomeration of different culture, different types, and different races. But they have put a structure for everybody to realize his dream. And at the end of the day, the best gets what is supposed to get. So it's possible when we come to agree that this is not good, this has been a stagnation for our progress, then, or we get leaders that will kind of bring people together and say, oh, there's a process. We also are people that have process for getting the best. I think that's going to happen. It's possible if we agree.
Nepotism is, to me, primitive toxicity because it stems from a perspective or position of ignorance, hyper ignorance, and that's something I don't give room to. But just to stick to your question, of course, I've had one too many experiences of nepotism, and in some way, it affected me. Even though it is what Nigeria unfortunately has drifted to. And so if it's about either tribe, religion, or region, then it's, to me, defined simply as nepotism. It's who we are, and so that's culture. You can't divulge the culture of the people, or you can't divorce the culture of the people with their polity. To say so, it then means that it's our culture, it's who we are. For people to, or whoever to say that has gone past that stage, I mean, they must be very sophisticated upstairs. Otherwise, it's entrenched in our culture, north, south, east, west. Nepotism has eaten deep into our fabric, or our national fabric. And so it's something that you can't separate from our way of life, because that washes down the place of competence, the place of credibility, and sacrifices it at the altar of tribalism, at the altar of all of the fault lines that people would want to explore. And so they are competent people and the minorities, likewise the majorities. And despite the presence of federal character, at least in our national policy, it still hasn't enabled us to get to go past nepotism, unfortunately. It stems from leadership. If the leadership class or if the ruling class decide that they are going to demonstrate examples or exemplary tenets, then it's one way to be able to arrest the situation. But so long as a president from the north decides to favor people from the north, or a president from the east decides to do that, or a governor from a certain tribe decides to do that, then he's obviously endorsing that and charting a pathway for this practice to continue. But if they decide that they're going to put an end to it, it may not necessarily give away or give way entirely, but it will go a long way in setting a standard of how we can go past that. Well, the people are doing that. At the lower class, when you find people struggling in shanties, in the streets, they normally will not ask who you are or where you come from. There's a sense of camaraderie or comradeship that they tend to exhibit. But it's the ruling class, the governing class, that in fact highlights these fault lines and makes it look like it's who we are, just to be able to divide the people and rule them. In the end, entrenching a dynasty that doesn't help the people who are struggling at the lower class. And there is nowhere in the world where these differences are completely non-existent. It's the same thing, for example, to say with racism, but it can be reduced to the barest minimum. However, for us to get there, it will take real work, real deliberate and intentional work.
So it has always been entrenched, embedded in our systems. It's culturally motivated. I'll say it is it's culturally normalized and then institutionally enabled. So it's going to be very hard to eliminate nepotism entirely. I mean, it would be very good for us to do that because, like I said, it fuels resentment even across ethnic groups and social groups. It blocks fair access to opportunities for millions of qualified and deserving Nigerians. So when you look at that, it's possible if you take time because it's interwoven into our culture system and it is enabled, it is backed by weak institutions. But it is possible when we strengthen institutions, make them more transparent, when there is proper legal enforcement and oversight. That will also help just to sensitize people more on the word and the meaning nepotism, to see it more as harmful and not helpful. And then even from our leaders to get them to model merit-based appointment rather than connections or money or bribery. When that happens, I think we as the people would better trust institutions and would model or follow that leadership.
Nepotism remains one of the biggest questions around governance in Nigeria. Is it a cultural habit we can shake off, or is it a practice that we must fight to build a better nation? The answer perhaps lies in our willingness to choose merit over favoritism. Do your part today, because a nation free from nepotism begins with you and me.